It's AVMS. What is it? AVMS, that's something. Your check 106. What is software?
Oh, I'm good.
Or
I need password for the company.
AVMS one. Oh, yeah, I'll go to this base. I don't know why. The spectators want to be added for the chain. I put drums on it, so. Well, that. You We're good to go. Okay, perfect. You decided to do it. It's not her. You decided. Good time. Before we start, I'd love to take this opportunity to thank the people who helped me get here. First, thank you to the tournament director and the host for making the whole tournament possible. It's been a really fun experience, and yeah, it wouldn't be possible without y'all. Thank you. I'd like to thank my parents as well. They were the ones that convinced me to get into debate back in 2019. They've supported me every day since. And thank you to my coaches as well. Unfortunately, they're not here, but especially Mr. Mahoney and JP for all their support and everything they've taught me with debate over the years. St. Mark's as well for teaching me to be a better debater, a better person, a better leader. I'd like to thank Andrew. This has been my favorite year of debate by far. And our first year debating together, I'm thankful we built a really strong friendship, stronger than before this last year. So with that, is everyone ready? Yep. The next one is counterfeiting. Online counterfeiting skyrocketing 7% of consumers use e-commerce like counterfeit. Tech 23. 17 by counterfeit. Online thing. Record news. Research. What's on e-commerce? It's been growth online platform. Cover the crime counterfeit. The random core counterfeit. Evidence stock. So record ground responsibility. Conduct down about putting out platform. Give your secret. Contemporary non-permanent. It's like platforms liability black specific non-stringent. This comes from platforms for active force and reactive feudal and force by grants. Came 23. Because of the United Mark Place, funded never have any sort of serious liability, never not doing all of his secondary, but going to the currency, regarding no one is activity, moving active, this not different, this is a movement, all this, take place in whack-a-mole, or leaking boat problem, trading is funny, conflict, counter, like sons, camera 23. Give us a plus one, so my market is organized operation, working every now and then, lotion, obviously, different property, every time, brand, take down those, coming fixing this, the new, let's say, people, kind of, like those, blossoms, manufacturing, but the image, get it on, reach, report, commerce, like activity, counter, like the front for grid and spaces, including satellites, camera 23. Never will serve to get kind of in the shipping part of the never goes to the contract, so active space gas over the kind of space like precisely the village or consider now this kind of made a function like and the location kind of back to space the balancing what yeah sorry zero one to great clock cause extinction here's sort of 21 lectures that is civilizing clubs that independence here about who are going to be debating and to be just like events young zone clubs things clubs and to reduce capacity for estimates scenario 2 satellites counterfeit COTS electronics destroy satellites especially CubeSat creating cybersecurity and cascading debris mirror time 4 electronic girls in almost injured genuine you see driving spring kind of electronic crack balance your body kind of space for kind of general space data what is raised to reducing mitigation kind of creation new kind of electronic given the better my workers over you shot fires local value to but is that every come as best like it does revolution given see just come out of the same community such as LA or to know around the window function but that looks good all from every kind of great city that's what see this going to be so increase the required action on the front of but it does maybe means these motors that general carbon also never going to be against every required sources technical satellite fields guarantee escalation accidents take one and follow away 21 Given it's been normal to nuclear reactions like get ready pretend accommodated nuclear research on the top of the base, looking out and take a mother, separate carbon, second to percentage of alpha nuclear section, limited how you do radiation, just on the percent cycle, that's the different overreaction for something like a little more than the rest of the elevated as much as the against the orders long questions with the usual fresh as the DS China and you do this one, the ship was the working and the as like learning base and really that making it and use uncertainties. You Elio cube sets uniquely solve 6G interconnect networks, but parallels direct progress just Master 24. No, so we see what the way you connect messages, signature present, you constantly the name of time, we down south, trying to get well, custom, you keep the same as individual, something about the assumes something, company does able to benchmark, critical system, is how to lay out to control the data, only open data to device interface, communication, sound benefit, include your state, practice, economic commercial network, quick capacity for one state, well, the camera reliability seems not even what we take all 760 out to get the data chain, critical communication, 60, otherwise, never 60 minutes, 21. Parts of the kind of 60 dominance, that's by the expert. Jordan Buckets and West Los Angeles and I'm the new bags and the JJ Friends, zero monographs, they can critically animate technical probability, ability to get one episode, that's a better secret or money, eventually about the modern managing custody, ability, money managing processor extra. The brief from satellite go to cause extinction, 24. Yes, I'll do that. Is that service they say winning a multi-dollar week may have be a reason something seen that just have a salary on the morning whether back on the default not never kind of getting into or anything about someone able to about the area get quick fully when you make it go play passes rather than having the not going software in space. Is there cruise reactors can fit parts of reactor method on 422. Can I find when I take about new graduates right after through methods. Those constitution and relative energy, Rossi 23. Different principle that make has to find out we know become really lot of having to do week on places about life aviation direction nothing was had to go to the atmosphere. You know, we had to react to the also person that we get to have taken down the time to myself for versus anyway. You play instrumental role energy based on carbon. The planet plus is constructed not standard from online intermediates from electronic versus dynamic, 22. This specific cosmos has every no problem with investigating electronic design from defendant to investigate original target sending pretty common on rather than different bottom and not even where we do corporate posts. Proactively blocking broadly such individual basis, anything of normalized counterfeiting creates financial incentive to allow us to continue to triply succeed. So that you don't kind of travel country everything on this implement and then you just wait and by mentioning kind of economic message, but knowing possible kind of business way because every individual to come to the kind of party trade for the and for the ability of every John and by the independent kind of market must also reduce our ability to immediate blockbusters not just big violations. That's the plan. The United States federal government should determine that constructed knowledge framework infringements domestic to contribute to framework liability and a duty to investigate for online intermediaries. Contention to his doctrine. Scenario 1 is towards regarding construction knowledge for specific knowledge where support tenses totally applies to the basis established case law. Irish 12. You know, according to right action knowledge, impact also the framework conversations related to construction knowledge and this right action knowledge and online under perfect and respect all the as directed these ways of spending total avenue industry no aging and this be like will be time action knowledge and spending for that should be decided to continue to be held up with this begin getting the person getting the set of on the whole user now generally are important. We're finally towards optimized regulation with 15. So the capital issue normal development new legal litigation is instruction for litigation management for litigation about committee and said order money to give us idea of send litigation providing no reduction this name for the making use of grant access to court money we can totally specialize in case of the law regulation solve 16 code 21 to maintain the new rules and city capacity of 21st century pandemic room of modern technical public landscape better efficient and vision will like better we need for other areas one stop at all specifically because responsible drug users group 16. Just talking about the already way to be a number one accident on the getting personal chronology we can get hair value business original regulars from the private center control and what will be shown about the US strong that whole kind of relative and about legal structure learning security and private liable company efforts and control also being regularly valuable insurance activities. The US preemptively strike challenge the healthcare drug plan by August 130. Don't make it on the healthcare strategy China the August 25 deadline to the small journals independent healthcare and the medical that screws immediate new war Trump makes elected first in 25. Comes in all second goal one because Mitchell would be he says US intended turn Wednesday down and healthy using a Chinese demo was special full commonly nuclear exchange. Harmonizing frameworks and reports provided to the field. Grab 8. General been certain to short side only found because very much effect on the attributes on any the one of the so been in the long certain sources that doing in the interview don't know just come from the bill term last year not really space term activities very place very some control of it going to be decreased down and the saturated developments at our level. Contribute to term liability for the goal on and harmonize the anti-counterfeiting law for C10. Subsequent going to Canada, how goes here, you're going to put international projects, increasing the law, including law, and you need to pay more money, so you would come to the law, and these temporary terminal, how many of them come in the local business, the guys who are going to have as much as possible. Only that could maximize the cheapest possible voting principle for C11. Because when I'm going to start what I'm going to invest in my name, or the red investment in the listing and purchasing and place where you appropriate books and both awareness marketplace for the best world. Scenario 2 is unfair competition. Tiffany with eBay rejected applying knowledge and unfair competition, only be 15. Reason why the business would benefit from the be applied to rejected Tiffany out no longer preview the anticipate standard experience should be can be no anticipate from the down the market standards on source economy on the regular basis reliability apply construction knowledge. Reapplying construction knowledge threads the needle between Tiffany's strict and Francis overly lenient standard, otherwise international form shocking and misstruck splinters the internet. Hang so 9. Comments on every competition level when access credit data guys which are video recorded number like restatement is used to read the video down the video the principles and the use of the standard people were not to be true and was saying apprentice the property that we guilty of any different from the events all the visual it's been guys and again is there particularly remember that you know with the be track limit going product components due to pound activity moving on and open market not something that lowers the negative regional into the base and be solution to new concept the excuse for releasing it and depending on the common center tools solution about to destroy the internet fragmentation produces precludes cooperation on every extension of Roll 20. Interfragmented with global cooperative risk coming to fragmenting world and as driver realities and global collaboration possible global measure code defined and interoperable to discuss and become virtual code is necessary and possible without understanding. Unfair competition halts anti-competitive conduct or in Bangladesh 13. Of course, the competition is not be business all avoid trade practices are allowed to the fact consumer of any competitive unfair competition and hence multiple competition that will really give you something of course the individual people to run into business unfair competition to retain everyone but very ethical behavior and transactional justice. Unchecked corporations and called 660 and post 18. Nothing more longer than a little bit corporate is exterminating made political and easy to consider the United Practice as industry model giving us a multiple unfair business practice and competition and it's monopoly in multiple dimensions of multiple resources. Restating unfair competition under line number revitalizes the field for 20. Conflict law connected against order unfair competition framework and is easy buried in line by actual unfair competition law studies the text over unfair competition law disagree plus certain basically the point and unfair competition protection come to be over the commercial party to get field one has been haphazard unfair competition can do nothing unfair competition remains under developed down the fine unfair competition law lost by people claim contributory trademark liability is a common law tort of unfair competition. Rule 11. Second trademark liability organization for land is not supposed to represent liability towards death by the interpretation on the ground and land is for purposes of common law tort unfair competition liability contributory and vicarious. Andrew's sending out that one extra card.
The body's fine.
Sorry? The previous one card. Here's the definition.
Please up and down.
Are you good? Sorry, 1 second, my word is not responding. Okay, I'm good.
Cool. What is 6G and how is it distinct from 5G?
Yeah, 6G is sixth generation technology, and the Driss and Moussery evidence indicates how 6G is very different. It's much more powerful than
More
5G.
powerful? In
Yes.
what ways?
It says, sorry, let me find, its benefits from quote, higher bandwidth, lower latency, and higher reliability, all of which, yeah, it's, I believe the evidence says it's
more of my
1,000
question
times
is-
faster, the coverage percentage shall be increased to 99%, efficiency will be increased by a factor of 10, and spectrum efficiency 5 to 10 times higher than 5G network.
Okay, so like, where have you read evidence that there's like a deficiency in 5G that is unable to solve threats from like biodisaster acts?
Yeah, the Driss and Moussery evidence indicates that, the Sioux evidence indicates that 6G is necessary due to its power when combined.
Right, it's like
with-
6G is very powerful. I'm asking more like, what technology or what technological improvement specifically does 6G provide that is better than 5G?
Yeah. It specifically says, quote, the unique capabilities of 6G networks include the high data transmission speed, wireless hyperconnectivity, and low end-to-end latency and reliability specifically.
Okay.
Reliability garnered from satellites with non-counterfeit chips are the unique internal link to the benefits that 6G has. That's the Sioux evidence and the Driss and
So,
Moussery
okay,
evidence,
like,
which
what
makes
is,
it-
so like, people have 6G technology, it's more reliable, it's more efficient. How do they use it to combat biodisasters?
It's able to facilitate disaster management and tracking around the world,
Tracking.
extremely efficient.
So if any, the first card you read, the address card, it says, quote, liability calculus directly eats away at an established principle of tort law.
Not liability
namely that
in the abstract, barring courts.
Yeah,
Constructive knowledge
not
in the
constructive.
liability.
if it eats away at an established principle in tort law, namely reason to know. My question is, why does that mean all tort law is eroded?
Okay, first of all, it's eating away, the average evidence indicates that this specific case is eating away at tort law.
No,
The
eating away
aiding and abetting
at one
principle-
principle.
The aiding and abetting principle is arguably the most important part of tort law and can be used to regulate drones and regulations. Also, the grant evidence indicates that the reason why quote, torts die in the status quo is because torts and trademarks are currently regarded under separate fields, which then allows people to go to trademarks instead of torts. When harmonizing them
Okay,
together,
okay.
we stop
Specifically,
broadly.
aiding, specifically when someone, the plan fixes an inconsistency in trademark where someone would not be liable if they quote aided and abetted in a legal action, i.e. a tortious action. This is the foundation of the liability principle that underlie how we solve drones
Okay,
and how we
here's
solve.
my question, though. Like, your
It's the
card,
same
it
type of
says
language.
one liability principle, reason to know.
Yes.
Why does that equal all tort law?
Reason to know is a standard that was derived from Inwood v. Ives. We would change the interpretation of that towards constructive knowledge, but we reverse the erosion that Adams indicated. In the
Yeah,
very line, it indicates-
The grant evidence is also amazing.
Agreed,
It
first of all,
indicates that the reason that torts are dying in the status quo is because torts and trademarks are regarded as under separate fields, which causes people to go to trademark instead of torts. We
Okay.
harmonize them.
The one thing to say, it's Adolf, event college too. Don't open it down. But before I begin, I'd first like to thank Montgomeryville Academy for giving us the opportunity to debate, for Dr. Daughtry in particular, for our head of school, for giving us all the resources to our program, so we get to travel to places like Atlanta for this tournament. I'd like to thank my mom, dad, sister, grandparents, and especially my little brother, Ishmi, who started debating this year. I think Gabe's Justin and Sam too, and he's just awesome, and he's made me really excited to debate again, and maybe in college. I'd like to thank NBA Debate as well, Coach Brown, Coach Lepp, and Coach Clark for your unwavering support in us throughout the season and helping us no matter what all along the way. I want to thank Jimmy Lee, Marish, MBHAS, MBA BT, MBA PR, and MBA RS for helping us in this tournament in particular. I'd also like to thank James Pan, who's in the back of the room. I told him I would thank him if we went to finals. And I finally want to thank Russell. Debating with him this year has been awesome, and I've really loved the intellectual property topic. With that, the 1 and 2 was already said, but it's Adolf, advantage 1, advantage 2.
Now we shut down.
Okay. First of the Connecticut multi-instrument and cutting access called the Russian trees on like no declaration to scale ways depending on the personal look together from personal post carriers by the state of emergency the law becomes the only source of action play. After no point talks human experiences more make happens more once more game better the law becomes the only looks control and much central. Notes and text all these charges count on the United States Supreme Court narrowly for that considered knowledge of trigger special contract liability to investigate on the grounds that equities cannot be broader than necessary. The government solved without issuing a uniform instruction law for 18. Very full of non-parties does not make nature universal others may benefit from litigation to determine the plaintiff non-parties and there are instructions to the purpose and Supreme Court never ruled on a beautiful instruction circuit. Number 718. Courts of the Burmese instructions closed on ruled on these courts curtail the purpose universal instructions still affects the government by 20. Government to be sued in any district policy comes to opportunity to shop for reform. Into whatever institution by the party from party breach citizens or infections for government and different having the government interfering with the government policy that will also change to 21. In the middle of the disease, we financial access to tax credit, vulnerabilities to sustain administrative device to mitigate vulnerabilities to cash blackouts, service bank for needed fraud, issuing debt collector policy of the United States federal government to pass the reconciliation tax will have now reconciliation of 25. The rules necessary actions for us to national from tax agenda for the risk of non-liability working on reconcile the make tax rulings of the next week. Reconciliation back to the full house will have leaked toward the other country toward the question whether possibly on board near union with the majority. Final allowing for governments to get some skeptical problems on board the past few months. We're going to have about the vast media market that we're doing 20 matters for the IP Brexit as on 23. Most speakers from the law for week on our IP are many have come out of the influence of so much to see IPs for corporate infrastructure for them. We got these from equity and redistribution of coal tax and turkey about investment matters to roll but our reviews are by the public ground from a capital markets before CFO to provide attention rate of willingness for investors staying on risk. The government emergency will be influenced by tax on these interest market results. These are collected. The input by the information makes time from companies for investors to are series of so serious will speak on investors are key. The devices every dollar investor generates two times. The impact on life expects these sides government will also sustain markets must encourage innovation and impact of contains the money see details as enemies for violation of the plan of prices of settlements to ground anything else. Allows infinite specific copyright and macro patents and only to every economic generic tax office gap data information. The government's corporate lease and the trend of the local council right 14. I'm just on systemic or release starting to release the dangerous visible is based on part restriction from this will get in the beginning of will make me find doctor complex very long time interview with the government pressure or second to optional degree database will ability to learn and also often cover complex and process scanning systemic risk culminating extinction or recovery. When extinction will make your mind no one's with the down environment coming in any to values and reward learning to conflict with habit action that ever to really my minority BD social surviving is beyond me with happening escape has been a miracle capitalism even has help innovation created or a system of growth chapters and sources of expense resource fit and markets and protection justice to state that in property will work up to the around the globe, and the world is having by the nature. We live in other countries to drive reform work, coming voting in favor of organizing united revolution against capitalism. 23 countries are coming through, countries for sure, against the countries for entire countries that provide way out of people to rebuild. The single list of countries will be regarded as will be able to see the system that opportunity will allow fair dangerous one and class desire. Sure that these forces rely on the number of spirit and willing spontaneous revolution are allowed. The back organization can be good one different capitalism and organization for itself. So I later from that, the general will revolutionary. Emails for harness energy and revolution might come up support critical capital organization. We starting with understanding what harness is instructional with the documentation within capital revolution rupture within property relations, the economy of the Republican democratic economies and super urgency next topic advanced capital needs activity. The United States should solicit core claims and impose independent flexible regulations in the areas of the 21st century threats at least including pandemic extreme weather and terrorist and corporate international actors in the area of internet form of shopping and putting extra domestic regulations that returns to the United Kingdom, the journalists against the Chinese civil forces and Chinese military aggression against Taiwan are countries bordering the South China Sea and opposing preemptive usage of drone forms against China, and the first part should be the federal United States federal government.
Yeah.
That was the only serum for America and escalation while preserving healthcare as a deterrent no government and lost DP. And returning United States conventional threats for technical rules of public stood upon the question whether anything can but a big topic the Eugene White House Council recommended they can speak with made for constitution classes for the new year versus global sections of the White House Council recommended eco drug they get local legal and cultural stuff from all the her argument that does let me come from the White House itself with establishment protect strategic stability DA deterrence to stable now but on the break future emergent breakthroughs on my restricted stability by climate strategic stability is all the report what is usually not are covered by the subjects and can further competitive and revenue and secure state most competitive spend rates much more retaliation like quality reliable now enough now, but if you're having future position today, the human really wise is first strike anything on right government. So you can deceive, cause, and destroy satellites and uniquely solves extreme networks, no defect disaster. One off having two said technical security operate without human input and sort of highly for reference. That's integration even currently conventional. Collapse is simply not lasting 22. AI also simple to see decision making based on automated constant over integration. Risk of errors and failures of automated ecosystem AI preference between subjects and particular integration of conventional system and calculation escalation reduce deliberation try increasing availability speed increasing competition for integration of AI and not control way and risk model increasing accidents and systems really capture opportunity to determine legal escalation is going before the company because the general the attack rates is currently back over the zone in the result in the reduction for retaliation related to state no substrate their six strikes this was safer colleagues and that's similar growth and stuff the like your training also conflict innovation pick up the security system prevention on the integration capabilities of trade to do every now stress control they forward control. They go down a disadvantage. Everyone is seeing internal that counterfeit tech is already incorporated into it. I'm sort of re-highlighting in yellow below of all their evidence. First, the Campbell, which is internal to the grid. B is Merle, which is internal to satellites to the grid. C is LaForge, which is internal to nuclear power plant. Counterfeit systems are well implemented and all comes from country. Information out about not being bigger than copyright or privacy by building out doing your software documented prevent patterns with to prevent info sale of also even case in 2010 they're correct on their calling so so many counterfeit parts of our land you can also for zero chance of huge chip failures and end all electricity for the grid scenario years it's our global failure anyway the British will take credit for U.S. British Attorney Electric Physics 90,400 battle planes over 450 happened. Often makes a bit of impact on whole grid at 1.5 temperature by security to the terrain. One from outside and started the only real comes from the inside of the axis control robots stop people taking out the whole grid flow structure or design stop and getting killer. And that's not protection the chance of one of them power from the country very small. No it's linked to counterfeits they're already systems no retail. In fact, attribution can transfer any response in person policy just for democracy. It can virtual robot size regions are concept that school where in today's world is any acceptance of the world countries do. They take American themselves that has the US and respond even federal and county nations and policies result in broader great on the optimal limiting explosion. Development and impact on one rate is not the amount of companies which probably make technology of the first group. They're not the national security threats, security of leads of several political pressure trying to balance the 65 year keys that shows in innovation remain hurdle no security impacting global firms and fill in or project has produced any growth updates worth 60 big progress 60 minutes structured hardware resource must provide existing for 60 like the average about you rather than evolutionary players playing globally tails and environmental protection, even with a few more critical maps from space, and the warning, the risk of accidents and meltdowns is low, and or I'm going to finish. Plan research drone deployment has started for a couple of months. George completely time when they make system layer and choose confusion for the effective or technical but not kind of system eliminates those journey systems getting control will be able to bomb for the later. But everything I want to follow the do right up about the EW about it. On next systems division in terms of top here and order you can put the guys from up here see their needs for the American alliance system nuclear arms which are allowed to control command. So the South Korea likely going to consider an takeover expensive for force to North Korea will not reach the victory over unfortunately it's war in the United States and by China and democracy but great. Partially, which will launch your research by policy, CCP, something governments and work and across governments are only control the world order is control before there is technology for teaching about dealing with the documentation like research and only these programs or cooperative electricity limits or next countries and equality office power air back to it's about lucky perspective that you have some still technology around the world order and it's on the course separate.
Okay, good.
Off case you skipped was the,
Elon.
okay, any reasons to reject team other than T and? Yeah.
Like no, didn't expect or vagueness or anything like that.
Okay, the injunctions counter plan, how is it distinct from the plan?
Russell.
Yeah, so the counter plan is not a universal, it does not universally enjoin the behaviors of the plan, so that would mean like when there's a contributory liability suit. The courts would rather than, so basically what we competition clause in the block that when the courts rule on contributory liability to overturn specific knowledge, they have to by a generalized legal regime, which means they have to apply nationwide injunctions across every brand and hold every.
So, wait, so the plan. What about the plan mandates it being nationwide injunctions?
The
Yeah.
word protection in the resolution will read per definition between.
Protection in the resolution must be nationwide.
A generalized legal regime,
Yeah.
which in the context of the act would mean a nationwide.
Okay, what is a generalized?
I mean, we'll also read competition cards about like the words rights. We think that rights in the context of intellectual property protection mean that they have to be non-infringible and continuous across the USFG, which means they're consistent across all cases for contributory liability, which means that it's the universal nationwide injunction.
Okay, so universal injunctions are being used now, the counter plan would stop that?
No, I mean, the app uses them certainly. We don't think that they're necessary.
Universal injunctions are not necessary.
They're not used by.
They're not using the status quo, so is this a unique dissent to the plan?
Yeah,
It is a unique dissent. to the plan.
yeah, we think the net benefits also.
Okay, the court has ruled on plenty of IP policies, what specifically about the AF makes?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, the Bagley part says that circuits might embrace universal injunctions, but the Supreme Court has never taken.
Okay, sure, so if the Supreme Court has never put out a universalized injunction, why would normal means of the plan be
Yeah,
universal?
I mean, it's not normal means competition. We'll again, read competition parts specific to contributory liability that says that they have to be nationwide and applicable to every single brand in US.
So. Okay, and is this only for e-commerce platforms?
I mean, yeah, it's only for the plan.
Okay, yeah, so this is about the impact is about universal injunction
Yeah, I mean,
broadly,
we
right?
think it sets a precedent against.
Okay, so your dissent comes from the
We'll
press.
set spillover, sure.
Okay, you'll say spillover. Okay, strategic stability. The non-exhaustive card is about integration of AI into military systems. The Sue card is about integration in terms of like civilian tracking of data. Like how do those go
So
together?
a couple of things. First, I don't think the Sue card is in that context. Second, it would cause a spillover thing, AI into military systems. And three, even if it's in civilian satellites, that doesn't matter because adversaries perceive it as the US developing AI into satellites. And so they'll still
Okay, yeah, so
share,
this
still rent
the
strategic.
US is already putting AI in satellites and we would combine that with 6G. How did the US already put AI in
6G
satellites?
in and of itself is
Okay, then
AI, and that's a big
knowledge
part
of
of it.
6G anyway. How does AI not work? Okay. 10. Up that 9. Okay, so these things. Let me know when I'm done. And actually, I'm gonna do another speech too. Don't mind if I take a second, bro.
Go for it.
What's the steps, you know?
I don't think it matters, they're not here.
Oh, I know. I'll take a second, bro.
Yeah.
What's the?
But they were worried about you, bro.
I'm right
They
here.
were, they were all, they were very much
Case there,
concerned.
in all three debates we've had against those teams, like a new strategy.
Who knows, man?
Nationwide intelligence guide. I read it just like randomly like 2 weeks ago. I was like, interesting. Filed and learned. Interesting. Like, huh.
You never know what you're finding.
Hmm?
You never know what you're finding. Shannon cut that, right?
Yeah.
I said, it's kind of consistent, CC.
I was like, dividing, highlighting.
I just want everything.
Really?
We've had this.
Or took 5 more seconds to ask the question without y'all here.
So, yeah, I'm gonna re-ask the question. Yeah.
No answer.
Well,
here.
I realized that was kind of what we thought. No, I'm gonna re-ask.
It's not like like having to get a question.
Yeah, no.
It's like flow, sorry.
Actually, no, it's close to the outcome.
Yeah, alright, now that you're here, I'm gonna take a second, grab 919 stats.
Finish.
No, 9 cents.
Very important.
It's extremely important. Okay. Before I give my speech and stuff, I have a little bit of thank yous to do because we don't go to the THC at St. Mark's. I'd like to thank the tournament director for making the NDCA possible. I had a concussion last year, didn't make it, but this year's been pretty good. Especially Mr. Mahoney, he's been pretty good at running the tournament, and even though I slightly disagree with forwarding the pairings a little early, because I like to eat. But I'm fine with it. Thank you to St. Mark's for Texas for, first of all, being with my high school and middle school and lower school. I'm a lifer there in first grade, so it's been pretty good. And thank them for introducing me to policy debate, which I've had a lot of fun. I'd like to thank my parents. I forgot my flow paper once, and my mom had to go bring it for me, and I really want to thank her for that. Especially, I guess it's live stream. Thanks, Mom. I would like to thank actually Matt Schwalm. He's not here. He got me into the debate. I was a novice, and then he spread in front of me. I was like, whoa, okay, that's not bad. But like, he spread really quickly. I was like, whoa, I really want to do debate. Now I'm doing. I'd like to thank Devin. We didn't partner like very often before, but this has been a great season, and I didn't. Yeah, I could not have imagined where came up. 5 years to make it. It's pretty fun. I recommend it. Bye. Cool. Order. First, my grade. And doctrine. It's called towards because I forgot. The doctrine man. Then subsets. The panic K. The cap K. The injunctions counterplan. The advantage counterplan. The one with like the text they sent out again and then the housekeeping down below, that kind of stuff. Then the strat stat descent. And the task cuts descent. Oh, I didn't want to start the bottom. 3 cards, I guess. Okay,
Is it Strasbourg or politics or
strat stat.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. One of the ones that's counterfeit is integrated already. The job as a linear impact should reduce the number of counterfeits integrated in new tech and the Q tech and reactors, and these other counterfeits are being integrated more now. Whereas recent the Q tech are having them integrated with the software as a source now. Now, once you stat the wrong, we reassess the similar scenario. What is the effect of the 70% of the counterfeits of e-commerce? And post date ensures the technology to blow the evidence out. The 20 seconds does not matter. It makes more. Reason has a break. Concede great defense. We're not going for it. And this is satellites already have chips in them, it doesn't matter. The malfunctions on nuclear miscalculations states in worst case scenarios, which is unpredictably checked again. The overall no cost because satellites being integrated now. That's Q K. China goes in 60. It's not about geopolitics and 60 or who knows 60 channel about 60 in the first place. Which are the terminal impact, accidental biodisaster, nuclear accident, and never in biodisaster X 60, destroy or die for recording global stuff that's just a massive in satellites. But here they think global field drop modeling when we talk globally, but 100% globally with the no 60, little connectivity satellites globally. Well, the defense they didn't get to it, but they dropped the impact because of the extinction counterfeit ship pairs, class cooling system, and the radius of the planet. Like that's
velocity and debris. There's only analytical defense here. The drop in uniqueness is high now. That's increasing now. Waiting for before I cut it. It's target escape. Plus the global communication hitting ceiling, including the atmosphere. The plasma cause exchange. The doctrine remains. The continued both internal length that we increase towards the increase under competition to revitalize the whole doctrine building process. But no, the one of these units strike. The split is that potential drop in internal cooperation. The background of the infrastructure, unarmed autonomy, international counterfeiting, the trust. Plus the internet use as mineral and hands. Under competition, world of corporatism, which cause exchange. Do not be power under business practice, lost many in the business custodian and bulky. Uniqueness is app, quote cases, provide good tools now, under competition close, innovation, solves every issue, best balancing sense for new tech that's Montgomery, and so on, reviving short solve. Now, drone help you kind of like on during your meeting with the Lord. You need to have impact, even have an impact during the event, none of the one is now. That's for 20% less than a month ago. Cause of China war, healthcare strategy is bad. It has no choice. One escalation, even stop China. Because the Chinese overreacted to go nuclear before the healthcare chain. Plan the China war, the first thing was that before we used to have the two only on offense. Healthcare shut down nearly 25 years. We've never done autonomous. I mean, every system China planning, China down the healthcare defense bills. In the time the US that people in China don't only can't advance from the China involved. Many different new countries, China war between the weapons system, why we were developing acquisition, working talent, and unlike he said that operation three short solve. The reverse, restore benefits of use by effectively breaking back atomic weapons. Four no time invasion videos. One miss. She said that later was getting to a series China become a little bit of a to sure. Nothing about your engagement with China and the web signature put out never another deadline China. Everybody joining this, you mark that there. Now they say oh, no totalitarian Chinese fighting react above strike that and put multi with chunk thumbs, G subsets, meat, functionally contributory liabilities, all of shared data, counter between one of them, something with anything follow up, including remove that for one's grammar, only indefinitions are rather weak grammatically other just two that ground based on the readable engaged be asked. 4-3, decision where protocol can find functional limits like cafe clock, degenerate Bennett, actually not cafe, non functional. Clocks degenerate Bennett being functional limits, check and usually prevent subject time panic, framework. The value is unique consequences from the objects, links have uniqueness and all sorts of materially solve any other with that, with all the defects, which makes it possible. Perfect on the voter for jump on the deciding catalyst, also apocalyptic. At best, we get several reps. Running terms next track, the ethnic consistent for one key, delegate by string, no panic, all the commas, studies the proof, you chose brilliant and false every 10, 18, 7 levels, and you have evidence on the opportunity for the utilities of the Bible, genetics, so if you genetics, confidence, do both, do each relative voice block and drive it incorrect. 13, the most important thing to do, I can monitor opposition, down the order, limit, power, we cannot solve such cases with nearest digit conflict, not psychological, reject one of cases, logic, one case, the best, new and cap case, cross life framework, really active, alternative, do both, double bind, also big ocean things, slow outside, so good, sustainable, right 20, tight, heavy, belly, been wrong, we won't, big over, one, and habit, and have some more shorter, be someone by the use, by the use, they can't go one of time, take getting more life, each below the way to walk into the plan, and no reason think about all, no thing done, each segment exists now, that is increase the negative important equity, show the good threat or impacts, or the inevitable, you never see that by go be 23, work 23, should currently have to the line, that's not like go to check the example from the only capital, no problem after the we can eat, you know, so we have to understand no pay that's like capital, only value can are really better off to let the KO can do not sit and bad to get the drop team now. The all cannot solve all cannot solve big, also big international private actor. Here are all voting issues because it with your deficit and voice scrutiny and fails. Hands 21. Moving ahead in those tasks and so many revolution on capital control and election to have movement has to come and revolution on forming so people will chop market action now. Injunction to both children and to the cabinet and plan over the plan the meeting to the cabinet to really be running should be doing can possibly your bench and the opportunity for making possibly the challenge can have not seen the all reaction in the action was exactly but the kind of other issues to kind of take public you may not take damage to the tax kind of then do kind of non-resist the part kind of no total one is supposed to be over that's the end of the strong the after the single fund by between two months and fund like you have a federal financial terms fund on a year international general fund allocates the fund on the case and not unique every does no link nothing about constructive knowledge and outweighs the dark impact absolutely internal link and the banking assuming the government towards on one for investigation that will lobby into what they're at but it can't solve towards the lady that column for and just one in the very company involved in military 2004 after concluded and determination continues so no one can cancel second minute just job the content of voters and all shakers people probably always every time they move itself next week and to event off and then make it difficult to take the front to reject job shake for making it to your other the logging no current at 20% at 25 no government impact well he never been about even regarding coming commercial by wasted both sorry because that division here the government policy stats and results from the first they possible comes to control from that and text law doesn't allow online issues to cancel the app bank account do the app name combination plank shouldn't have the multiple type of plans are voted and from the vision match plank solve no solve that is voting should know things happen to good idea cancel these guys but very close the first two are the theorems does not inconsistency that I would say open city no matter about other business practices containing those fails Umbrella, it causes conflict. Umbrella 19, a lot of people from Norway have run global war happened when you were to start one league, probably homeless, conflict, kind of retaliation, law, to make sure now just do the best of overall human rights, common sense, specific on having good words that should be what you can be, you know, that's no this time that the cannot all be bench one, the new king doesn't do counter the strap down, no link. Since yeah, it's be together, stop out that we don't integrate and satellite and anything, so the air dot key satellites already being used, nothing that new ASC and already used, go, air that's into new players, statements, and integrate and training, and so the bit of time, never feel away with the modern, then it's out for 10 line, laws of the body system, and measure minds, and man with this, and fails, shots that fails, haircut 15, just really thought about it, but perspective, because it was tiny, but you don't know what to write, then it takes on the verse with the individualization, opinion, accident, greater effect on the Chinese life, draft time is dead. 15, 24, because education, understand the word, China, greatest condition, marketing, promoting, content, man, that's really common, they were doing as well. And much of these are good, not good, because let me know what the same time on the level of really Western China already, because this is already here after the plan, everything that, everything aliens going to do the command, official years of the space of the AI, joint, as the ground, momentum, beauty, comments, writing, the same as companies, Western China, AI, but it's totally, if you go directly, AI system, it's really command, and do the investment, but AI, huge shots that actually. No thing, the monitoring is vitalized related, not about public health. Insert there, they green so insert differently that the monitoring is not about summary, it's tax cuts. No, not in even before the team talk, no kind of negotiation will make a company from general private tax instead of Medicaid mental health. We had to generate the drive and the earnings on the 3 months for a different benefit from the things that is really golf. Not the most for the death struggle in one for sense. I'm going to meditate on another way from minor chocolate that the wing range, very strong, so let's sort of out any having something. Put the top of the things only something to see that and also the thought nothing. Go back to the choice, I can't tell unfair competition is completely dissing. It's a deficit counterpoint. But there's no the deportation case storms surmounts that 410 people hit and lost or something because even though judge put in the corner of the fact that the government from all Shabbat doctor from no thing it's courts judge 15 I thought really got the local judge we don't have to sign that really no like and court about policy by 17 because from the court very well people know the policy much rules about court of law rules and if you know you stop now it's not to the policy the physical that Trump is because every 14 Trump put it over the position for rebel to the house negotiating the same kind of feature maybe there's no say how you before something she doesn't hold up maybe they're not if diseases don't cause the team versus team I don't know let me cause the team this and real life what's that is to see that goes for other back period the more that should be it's only wrong expected
Get across. Yeah. Okay, first one, about the first termination you wrote.
On which,
On other issues.
okay,
On injunctions, should narrowly enjoin that infringement creates a duty to investigate on the ground that equities cannot be broader than necessary. Why doesn't that link back to the app and look like
It doesn't look like permanent both because it's not domestic contributory trademark liability.
yeah, it's just any infringement.
Okay.
The app changing
Why
the
would the-
status
why would
for
the app
infringement,
fall?
it does not determine how.
Why wouldn't the app fall within that?
Oh yeah, narrowly enjoin that infringement creates a duty to investigate. Infringement is like, how you determine infringement is different from how we determine liability.
Okay, Biodisaster X, what is that, when is it coming, can you tell me something about Biodisaster X outside of the sci-fi like novel?
Sci-fi, Sue has 7 PhDs and is writing about an academic paper that biodisaster X threats could have catastrophic consequences.
So what is Biodisaster X?
A future biodisaster.
So what is, so like what?
A biodisaster.
So why is it,
Earthquakes, epidemics, pandemics, and natural
so
origins.
why is this one so special that it gets X? Like,
Because
and
it killed everyone.
so when is it coming, like what type is it, and why does it kill everyone?
Doom indicates that this exceeds the functioning of society and incurs widespread losses like armed conflicts, nuclear accidents.
Like I'm trying to figure out
that
what
extinguish the
causes
human-
it, what it looks like, 'cause you're giving me a kind of like the
Sure.
big buzzwords,
Global-
like,
like
I don't know what it is.
globalization and other systems have provided unique grounds for biodisasters to occur in the future, even if like. I guess communication is key to resolve those, no matter when they happen or how they happen. Stu indicates that it's likely now, and that it's tremendously difficult.
Okay,
If that's like 5G,
So like,
monitor
what
these
can
things.
satellites do to prevent it? I get that
Sure.
like satellites would like help us know, but what prevents the things like in those forces from?
I think we answered this before. The Driss and Manders evidence indicates that nanosatellites, CubeSats specifically created by private actors, are critical to actualize the benefits of 6G. Those benefits like longer reliability, global connection, and lower latency enable response and coordination to these biodisasters,
Yeah.
which the SU evidence indicates key. So,
Okay, so
which
okay,
is just as right.
okay.
NIV.
Corporatism, can you explain how ruling in one small area of like trademarks would
Sure.
prevent and take down big monopolies like big pharma,
Sure.
big tech?
Specifically, the Tiffany's our Dunleavy evidence said that Tiffany explicitly rejected interpretations drawn from unfair competition. Our Farley evidence indicates that under the Lanham Act, revitalizing these and making these haphazard inconsistencies consistent. I think it's like reclaim the lost unfair competition law and revitalize the field of unfair
So
competition.
when was
Balancing-
Tiffany and eBay decided?
2012.
Yeah, is it your intention that there were no giga monopolies before 2012?
We think that increasing unfair competition, revitalizing, which is one NDCA has succeeded, is good to check corporatism. Because corporatism is bad.
Why won't they just litigate against it and just like
Because
get
unfair
away from
competition
statute?
law is a stick to wield against big
So
corporations.
like
with
Trump,
Balkanish evidence.
Trump and the FTC, like why does he care?
It's not anti-trust law. It's unfair competition like broader. It's not just fair.
Okay, 9:50.
And it's a bad. Six point one.
Alright, before I begin, I have a few thank yous to give. First, I'd like to thank NDCA, Dr. Daughtry, our head of school, for giving us the opportunity to debate. And our coaches, Coach Clark, Brown, Leff, Hamrick, Mr. Gallagher, Mr. Young, Mr. Maxwell, Mr. Devergees, other Emory debaters. And I'd also like to thank my family, especially my parents, my brother and sister, for me throughout debate. My mom's one of the most engaged people in tab room, and she's always and my sister knows more about debate than a lot of her novices at MBA, so she's very enthusiastic and supportive of the program. I'd also like to thank my partner, Mr. Camille Majil, for we partnered in his sophomore year, my freshman year, so 2 years ago, and it's been a wild ride. We've had a lot of debates together, and I'm glad it's not our last tournament, but I'm glad it's sort of culminating to our last tournament. So with that, yeah, the 2 NCAA sent orders the advantage of our plan and advantage 2, advantage 1.
Cool.
2-1.
Yeah.
Brings down.
1.
I think there is 6. I got it.
Yeah, good.
The government calls the whole case equal and claims to scored about laws, which is scored descriptive the combination of plain place, which is still self-term proliferation. It does the plan that multilateral multi-plane counterparts are not a voting issue. It's a question of conduct which we'll get to, and then the one you understand, the advocates will read them. And then now it's kind of what solves one regulation if I come in as an advocate with the counterplane, inserted common, and therefore reference 2 internet impact unified regime solves fragmentation, inserted for reference 3 and possibly something corporatism is bad because the things united, which is all cause the case that only be accessed. It also solves drones often on beta shooters. It's about Trump last show, so we make sure he only use it defensively. No intervention. Lawson says Trump would listen and restrain himself if directions come from within the White House. Ignore general bluster. The counterplane solves deterrence and zero outward actually says to prevent his own policy. Air neg. The counterplane just codifies the intent of the weapons. No one in the room. No one. I would advocate for preemptive strikes. External checks make circumvention more likely. But sir, on the 17, the understood government and look for citizens draw for expertise specialization and get it for the regulations. Federal keys of accountability for challenge to join the adequacy of government prevention expert, yes, leadership structure, central protection, party damage infrastructure, unlimited value of external checks, and perspective of government prerequisite to next actually now the references of doesn't matter, cancel corporation, corporatism is irrelevant. We're not trying to solve that advantage, but in overturning Citizens United does solve that, which we re-highlighted, and their card which is there internally to that scenario. Advantage. It's trying out for Joe deterrent China's amounting to challenges Taiwan now, but expanded to never science invasion, hellfire means that they can't get their ships into the street or troops on the ground. That means they prevent successful invasion, which fractures the LAO. That's great. It outweighs the case when it's here. It's fast because our impact is fast. Now, Taiwan is gearing up for invasion within months. That's their evidence externally. It's like the invasion itself in numerous crises. One prolif, one Eastern. Says it conscious pre-nuclearization, those cascade, ensuring nuclear warfare. That's 22 proliferation. That's method of restore preventing cases not taking count accidental nuclear explosions and nuclear terrorism trying to use, which actually increases the chance of unprocessed detonation. Studio, a chain of connection from which shall be no return to Korea. It'll involve Kim to strike first, which goes nuclear. 3 Europe invasion with collapse NATO extinction failure. And 19 America's alliance by the US with comparative advantage to the overall Beijing. Moscow terrorism, cybernetics, and programs military readiness. NATO is one form of alliance that's for cooperation. NATO also understood the EU, which like Russian Chinese influence like our city will miss. Then when it's time for totalitarianism invasion towards a stable regime, worse than extinction failure. This 24 what makes it totalitarian regimes succeed and force of Europeans and characterized by mass violence, where we strike by the terrible situation for the recovery of faith, this force and then extinction. Now, the no link argument is incoherent, escalation is wrong. The plan chooses time innovation and fractures, drone manufacturing, toward liability, traps producers in decades-long legal battles that access necessary defense, innovation, and these allies woefully unprepared. We conceded their internally on regulation. And what is the cost? They said they regulate drones, and they've said they prevent the Hellfire plan. We're saying the Hellfire plan is good. Now, independently towards nuke the drone industry, they liability is a chilling effect that forces contract cancellation. What is it? company's uniqueness is the accountability gap that enables ramping up production, turned up succeeding unlikely, that of course is without liable on autonomous revenue systems, or changes when accountability gap to law, this design to solve their impact evidence says that the link is true, destroying the defense industry is the worst option versus 25 PC. Challenge of torture that's the arms defense setting did not hesitate U.S. military enforcement of American interests, but extinction independent of Taiwan, covering 15 warfare, and the Middle East peace, and pathogens, terrorism, bleach, war, military, underground security, returns to war, as well as to less extent and prestige superiority, not industry 20th century warfare. And then, do you have any worse? I'm gonna attempt to deter war will fail. Now they say only our offensive. I'm gonna fail. It successfully deters China, even at narrow escape to tourist healthy. Yep, 25. The Taiwan is not at the bottom of the sun has hellscape. Only has 17 the ability to destroy more invaders than the Chinese that they could afford. And then total fill the hellscape. Composite difficulty of Taiwan was that forms of any choice to trade critically attributed to PLA forces to the trade later from military hellscape visually and precisely friend PLA is told that Taiwan the best way to destroy delay or defeat an invasion. There is no time frame differential supported by any evidence. Escalation would happen in the only happen in the near term and trying to believe that their invasion would be successful, which will not if the hellscape plan is enacted. The only options again the insurance are key to the puzzle color. When you got 24 China has a lot of trends hellscape plan roads to the makeup really. This gap had deploying the massive amount of autonomous forms and the aircraft spread guidance to predict chaos of one Chinese push toward the Chinese smaller shape weapons to distribute away to prevent China from getting the air superiority. AI drones will be the key to countering China. The Taiwan invasion Pentagon 310 portion of U.S. military ship within power for air, but the advantage is running yourself. This subject parts of fighter tech drones to the ocean, low cost air strikes by Pentagon. These are the drones to counter China's technique that invasion of Taiwan require air strikes. Straight into SES, and the Pentagon will need not trade aircraft to reveal Chinese military. They say no. Taiwan strike invasion. Only our offensive healthcare trends are purely defensive. Both 20C cards are atrocious on this choice. We use them quote in a war, and they highlight that we quote preventative and says that China would invade outside drones, which answers their truancy. China no invasion against way. 130 in a potential war against the Taiwan trade there. The U.S. drone will be hardly be smart. As technology U.S. return Taiwan is not in healthcare. Unless the California drones facing to Taiwan is smart. China to be reunited by force if necessary. Ferguson concedes that Trump does not want to start a world war. Ferguson, 25 Trump's commitment to avoiding signaling wars is all about to prevent a world war that answers the Taiwan's events to no totalitarianism. Analytic is irrelevant. It's not does not solve by the app or internally it's specific to the hellscape plan and China's invasion of Taiwan that goes on the nuclear laws global authoritarian spread. Then they continue the external impacts of the Balkan of the climate, the AI and emerging tech, the regulations which said both are all triad words, for the negative all causes teaching no new answers, in the one area. Now zero regulation impact Trump, every agency prevents effective enforcement for rolling out EPA money and check and gunning into executive check by the DoD, making their impacts inevitable, no terminal. It's a launch list with no cheat execution, no words, mean no scenario, no terrorist stumps, and does not cause resale pandemics, don't go global, and the humans adapt to the weather, which is their only terminal impact here. Now, no internet impact. One, the internal link is bluster. Their evidence says that counterfeit goods hurt the internet's ability to provide quality products, but their impacts about fragmentation between other nations, which is both thumped and inevitable. Two, no internet impact. It's not something anything, Wall 21, nothing, and the digital space essentially made it made up of crap now. Getting elements, all we have to do is think factory free digital space across now, and civilization not cloud we should adopt to that. My entry digital space not cloud no matter what a person needs to do, but edge regulating, won't halt any progress. No, the internet does not cause does not solve conflict allies. Well, the idea that the system where it could be watching limited violence and any viruses company social viruses free access to the genuine feature of online interaction and unreadable is equal. There is any wisdom or office for wisdom rise within the web. No, the corporatism theory is ridiculous. One is the young policy. It's about malevolent corporations with political influence to annihilate humanity, forcing corporations to pay for trademark which would not decrease their power at all. It's also broadly inevitable like corporations that don't rely on the funds for the trademarks in their card. Goes so far as to say X risk with zero scenarios for extinction, but a corporation were to get too massive that antitrust laws will break them apart, solving the impact corporatism is structurally inevitable and has no impact on it. When you guys want to give us the way to create corporatism, push more corporatism, less authoritarianism of companies, not policies view themselves as the enemy entrepreneurs, corporations, penalties for identities at the stage with zero regard for consequences and unitary organizations, managed sector research, citizen, unmaking corporate model gives citizens of representative social function in corporate, democratic society, incorporate a variety of interests, this harder risk and access to corporates is the advantage one. 16 is irrelevant. We had evidence from this year saying that the political pressure will cause an inevitable open sourcing with China for dominating the field. They empirically started innovation, no impact global actions feel in US. 16 companies aren't keeping viral disaster scenarios only purpose they deck on the cooperation. They just say they solve globally, which is not an answer to US clearly solve their impact. US when you see impact episode will be on engineering pathogens, well the line about disasters just defining what disasters are, but then it says the biodisaster acts about engineer pathogens. They no even if China develops it, there's no impact. No one's internationally makes companies involved in technology open source with their national security that the
issues and some political pressures not as honest. This issue not guarantee short order. On the end of it remains a hurdle. The next scenario, the Trump obviously kills the environment scenario. Even with as much information as possible, the opportunity to action and it kills the effort. Satellite monitoring fails. It's too low risk or infrequent produces bad records because tech turnovers, great measurements are indirect and superficial. But alternatives solved in situ. Sensors are vast and drones are cost effective and incapable of remote sensing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. This impact on, is it all about Taiwanese invasion?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's the scenario. Well, I mean, it's interlinks from Taiwanese invasion.
Okay, sure.
And other things that
Sure.
are told.
the DIB scenario, you said like how does that pass the DIB?
Yeah, so basically, the interlink there is a lack of commitment to US defense. So the Hellscape plan is a key interlink to US broader DIB investments. So our
The DIB
big card that we read says that US lack of investment, it's like your impact evidence, the Ferguson part says that Trump should escalate the arms race and increase defense spending instead of backing away.
The DIB is made up of a bunch of interconnected sectors, like fuel defense firms like Lockheed Martin making planes and bombs. How does drones?
Like, yeah, I think drones are a key vector now. We've got lots of evidence of why drones are key to deterrence, especially in between US China war. So I think they're key to that scenario for,
Okay, so the DIB scenario is just Taiwan.
it's not necessarily Taiwan, it's broader US stability in.
Does the advantage
East Asia.
stand on advantage one at all?
Yes.
How?
I think, okay, but yeah, actually, no, I mean, the executive plan, yeah.
Cool, that's fine. Again, on this DIB scenario, how do bombs, planes, non-drone stuff not check this?
The DIV scenario, I mean, yeah, the drone, again, we've read key cards that drones are a key vector for deterrence, specifically between US and China.
Sure.
So there's conflicts
That's not
in the region.
DIB.
But okay, to be clear, you've read an East Asia escalation scenario. We've said that East Asia is more likely to escalate from the plans internally via drone.
That's the regular term, yeah, I'm talking
Yeah.
about, okay, so.
Yeah,
it's
so
DIB that's-
normatively, even without the Taiwan invasion scenario, if the US fails to provide deterrence and a strong signal to China, drones, then that causes escalation.
Signal to China that they're committing to drone. That's
Yeah,
what
the US, like the US Hellscape plan is the only thing that holds back US deterrence.
the only thing,
Yes, we've read like 5 articles.
Part.
Sorry.
You said it's one scenario.
Yeah, I mean, like,
all the
Healy,
turns.
Eller, Eddie John, all of these say that these are the key interlink.
Okay, those drones are good there, right?
Sorry?
Like those drones that are key to turns are pretty good, right?
Yes.
Why wouldn't courts just allow those to continue?
Okay,
If it's good,
you have said that the app prevents the Hellscape plan. We have conceded that.
okay, but your evidence is about drones broadly.
Our evidence is about the
Your evidence
Hellscape,
about
our
China.
evidence is about the
There's
Hellscape
more
plan
evidence of drones broadly.
allowing drone swarms and the US have military buildup in drones and be able to use those in Taiwan defensively.
Your petty drone evidence just talks about drones broadly. How does that prevent those other?
Yeah, I mean, it prevents deterrence from those drones because they can't be
No,
applied.
those
to
are other drones, not Hellscape. How does that stop those?
No, I mean, Hellscape drones are the application of US drone swarms that are built.
Hellscape
against-
drones are one particular instance.
No,
of
it's not like a
Hellscape
kind of drone, yes, it's an instance, it's an
Yes.
application of drone technology. So
Petty
yes,
drone
when we say drone technology is effective, then that proves that once we deploy those in Taiwan or other areas in East Asia, then they'll be effective at deterring China.
So the order will be the panic K. Pack K. The national and the ocean kind of thing. The strats bad VA, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Panic,
Then
pack K,
cat
injunctions kind of thing,
injunction,
strat stat,
strategic stability,
advantage one. Pack steps.
one.
And the one.
Panic can see the protest competition waving their age of the rest of the one seat proof zero false to rejecting your not today because they haven't proved in round of use. It's check it. Can see the protest competition theory to restrict the argument not the economy get what we did, and there's no violation because per kind of combining one fact equal capital turkey after WS required only kind of thing. Interview on unique absent figments often told the two say if it's like we did perfect finish to make like you lock combat. It's not a rule bond resolution rule that's not tonight some code which always remain all often under rule. Or work in the rules allowing the acting allow reading down the bounds of every debate dismissing substance 3 innovation called trust. First you are 30 research 4 info processing hard 1 C 4 3 state search quality, critical thinking defense, one machine utility, adding around 6 speaks about shooting ability to use to an LT, DSP, highlight framework, take, directed to 1 consensus, there's not 2, where from across the scaffold, and world peace plan 3, cancel flights, 3, dictates the lab for research level of this research, the best arguments, 3 to always go for it, 3 DX, all 5, difference between C capital, everything are open, stack all things. Consider the burdens of the competition, units structure. Consider no length strategic stability, it's dead, it is what? No, 60 impacted global quarter development for March 24. Projects of opportunity for the application for 60 RBR, work that 60 percent for Harvard research fund, just about 60 network achieving the evolution of energy and revolutionary, or with players are serving globally, China to phase 2, phase 1 after US strong, rally 150. Covered first for acquisition China generate, it's only launch on any major for we figure for continuing feature that easy to return to the one for any, but like 100 later, which is not very efficient or given. To the effectivity of the support to the research for clients specified, the budget related to warning catching on our defense indicated in the activation. Today, calendar 2027, probably be such a 50 need to see what can draws and profits on long term bills, long term selling today. But the only thing such a metro law where exchange not looking right here, measures loan service, data institute for the technique of the data and how we have to moderate balance geo, just provide resolution or order to the CPC tech agencies to do not pay attention to market records. Networks satellite breeds local and incapable of having the two networks wait control and impact on G4. Governors do not release between a few Texas support RTGs before not reactors after the pitch RC, no reaction on populated surrounded grabbing the death surgery highly likely enacted to support the age or no radiation leak coming out, representative condition cancer every person like limited expensive will lead tax cuts. Drop the unique counterplan on the politics day, which means this is now in fiat and NDCA. Linking unique defense orbital will be taken, conceded, it's sold, and competes, not putting any solvency deficit or permutations in the 2C. Hold the line. The 2C only put linked and uniqueness defense did not say a permutation, only putting impact defense, which means you know that passing the reconciliation passage, passage solved disease pandemic. This is the final to the national tournament. Do not let them get out of this. Watch decisions. Behind 2C mistakes, running them new answers, unfairly fuse the debate to them. Then USFG passes the reconciliation package. Which ensures the tax cuts get through. That's the biopharma industry, which is vital. These are only tax cuts incentivize innovation. That's Babic and verbal log. Trump's PC or numbers or uniqueness or the link do not matter because it kind of just fiat the bill goes through. Now, pandemics constitution not going to affect white out humanity. Possible agree. Global tripling emergency reaction methods and early punch may lead to small portion of population even full evidence. Single high probability of even future pandemics, pandemics, when civilization processes probably full copy. Structure of security could result in such important collapse. That's a village engineering country to rapidly rise to some different country common. Observational catastrophe. Their evidence There are evidence of old and from a professor in mathematics and striking a defense that might have been postured to because the 2C was very unclear.
In the twins.
Or in the 2C, and it comes to every reaction to culminate in nuclear biochemical forces. 21. There are 16 rules spread with species and mobility reference, but which are starvation the entire species first, similar to aggressive actions that detail like also systems not remind equal opposites will chemical bioactive space pretty sharply made out. Being great access to them option for trade and cover borders, plan trade and much slow and policy become national without taking risk. No for medical innovation purpose telomere reverse frequency or take about 99.9% died out the research are internal within lineage aging of the germ resulted in reduced coming using vertical tissue regeneration of stem cells. Telomere reversion leads to decrease for the lineage of disease species. Either stabilize telomeres or become single telomere cause triggers to be found research possible. For 99.9% mutation of activity triggers only in some short time for pharma inhibition is key to prevent after death or existing after return to the delicious recovery of low. If a direct customary on better facility diagnosis, there may be no gene therapy also benefits for a hospital for a month. Development diagnostic training the lead to patient when you don't see to so many discovery keys surgery for delivery later. The development of treatment plans including user patients for well. World Bank work with we're thinking because the university study, mainly work out the home to spend 400 years before we recommend even Ross beyond to reproduce more often serving, but the entire research or chances of living to exist certainly confident concern or ability can do or the implication we have to do our best to prevent it, host it, and the evidence. There's a high likelihood it causes extinction. The stage 24 on the university of going to be facing the worst pandemic in the world. It's not ready coming from one of the facing after the field and destroy the way of life.
On case, what was the card you read? You read a card from like 117?
Yeah, I sent it, it's in the
Isn't the
revised UNC documents.
five to, I've seen it.
Sorry, we're gonna open like.
Which card was it?
It was,
Something like
Bradley.
There was also, was there another card in this speech that you read that wasn't in the doc?
Those were all the UNC except for Bradley, which is just.
Yeah. Most of the ones too.
Okay, even the one that was, I thought I heard this first. Yeah, I heard this first.
There were no extras.
Let's be clear, you do the one card, one to
What card? Which card is it?
Oh, yeah, time money, wait till one now. I'll put that in one round.
Okay.
With this,
Oh,
right? 917.
okay. Mr. Doc. I'm saying, Andrew's doc will be first, I mean, my doc was second, we put the S was in there, right?
Are we done?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all.
You know, kind of ironic, because a couple of years ago, I watched a debate where the one AR kicked the F and went for an impact turn, and I said before my debate, before my high school debate, I need to do that, it's the last debate of my high school career, here we go.
No, it's all over.
It's gonna be, I'm gonna start with the politics they said, then go to advantage and advantage. Yeah. Politics they said. Sorry, politics they said, then the counterclaim, then advantage one, advantage two.
Which kind of on the same flow, unique kind of plan or another?
Like a
Yeah,
different.
different.
Yeah, advantage.
Which doc do you?
Andrew's doc.
The one you have to ask that. How to manage that. What are you talking about?
What's the?
Politics DA. 1, 2, or politics DA, advantage counterclaim, 1, 2. On the politics, you can cross-by the permutation, new answers are justified. After one and see there's a politics that said the bill would pass, plan sought to bill good. The twin is completely recharacterized with justified new answers. They went the other way and you need to abandon the link to this recharacterized justified new answers and cross out the permutation, cross-by permutation. Permutation new book is a test of competition, negative burden to prove the counterplay is competitive. They can't, that's on them. Link should make it easy to beat. Anything else that devolves to next hiding 100 counterplays around the flow and waiting for the twin to miss one of them, which ends the debate. It's the final of the national championship. We don't want to encourage garbage like they think about the precedent your ballot consent. If you can't prove, if they can't prove competition, they should not win. That leads to all their logic offensive they extended on the conditionality flow. We'll concede 2 technical mistakes as well. One, they conceded Andrew's analytic right at the end of the tweet. The internal links only speculative, not guaranteed. None of their episodes, the only way to solve fragments is the fact that 1 and R did not reference a single author name on the internal link, which zeroes the internal link to disease. That means you should at least be very questionable. 2, Russell screwed them over. In the twin, he said, quote, pandemics don't spread globally on the virus as well. Don't let them strike it from a different speed that justifies imminent perfect on teaches. But we solved the 6G interconnect networks called communication for resilience. That's 2. None of their defense to 6G becoming effective is about standard. And all to extend no disease impact here. 1, history, less than 4% of plant 2, trade off for more lethal, less transmissible, either burns out or doesn't spread. That's fair. Not only by COVID, such as such evidence is bad. And so the highlight and telomere erosion is wrong. It takes thousands of years now, but in that with mitosis, that's AD Bio 101. Andrew's literally taking the class. He told me this. Azoospermia is wrong. It's something innovation can't read fertility mirrors. No fertility crisis. Elementary 17. The relationship between sperm count and fertility is weak and possible to bring identity decline without being over funny because of fertility. Joke same number of fertility. The problem is ability of this either men or fertile semen is very well something that they very greatly over time. Past diseases like COVID just proved a disease where and the Suzuki evidence is only about COVID. The Suzuki evidence is only about COVID, and it concedes that and it concedes that past measures solved and like disease actually makes it less likely. We'll insert the indite there. Now on to the advantage counterclaim. We can see the counterclaims only solves advantage two, does not link to the turn, and thus the impact turn is often given to be impacting them and cross exclusion. They don't solve degree or 6G is a deficit, no judge can force the Andrew EM2 2 hours. Now on to advantage 1. I'm only going for the degree impact here because they massively mishandled it. Fault parts because massively blanket lower over 3. That's mirror. They drop unique sides up now. Wait, actually, because they go polluting the atmosphere with plasma like causing extinction. That's wait. They drop plasma and unique the rates going up now. You can see the rest of the impact because they read no stats and satellite monitoring is not key to debris. And also on the panic K, no serial policy failure, sir. Fiat durable fiat solved for specific internal links. Now we do advantage. Concede impact and defense to advantage. We're impact turning the correlative atom. First on we're impact turning the correlative atom. First on degree defense. China, Taiwan war, won't go nuclear or draw another country. Lead 22. China did change that's going to nuclear isolated convention for limited wars where each other one new non-physical means of the words for real simultaneous responsibility means or land ability to the US support Taiwan increase like the China will continue letters and will benefit from supporting allies with nuclear weapons that are used as conventional strike to the conventional weapon increase around conventional and asymmetrical arms. No NATO impact. Turbo for feasibility and 2 7 15. Then the factor of just one against the liberty can be everything hard to live in terror city, twenty percent interference by and not feeling give the nation of the my percent of government does mean that we understand and that means that rising worsening relationship with Russia. No to health energy one way 18. Since the authority of the world the British short term is a matter of culture, democracy, politicians, foreign rights, and the focus on short, and focus on social problems that setting up the lobby, democracy, and interfere with all access, we can political corporate interests, and no estimate. Brought in eventually that have reduced estimates, 22. No engineering intervention focus on specific and abroad more everything new events for war must towards open help other related like great power conflict. Either way, China now disproves the esperus impact and towards disease, around 16. Reduction in China's weapons for Lucas, the diversity of bioweapons, the diversity of bioweapons, the given event, not proliferation of reduction in global supply, increased risk of pursuing activities, validity of every shift event, but no impact of deterrence. It fails. We were 21. The no way military Russia and China and disabling according to the international environment, these things are expanded by military to point up his very World War. You potentially the some Russian environment, the U.S. military first operating stagnation, worst case of on the care, I can myself. The Russian goal. We'll concede the plane causes China to war. Concede that leads to South Korean prolif. No impacts is app offense. We'll concede the no would be involved in the status quo. That's the card all about free which makes them go nuclear. But the only thing is stopping the South Korean nuclear station. Then we try to flips after North Korea will cause things inevitably. No impact prolif, but South Korean prolif on the imminent nuclear war draws the U.S. and China. Trump significantly alters the calculus. Telling Kim 25. I make nuclear relativity increasing the pattern of capability of India is after the US commitment no gives like an American nuclear weapon native and no gives no more attention and no capability that is environment in the US also focus on about with nuclear weapon native to press the disable the going first when you mobile lines to do all the assembly the very data to not the extended to US makes a weapon no capable so US the force of all around the meters you know live no is the whole bag of normal like the name is to what you need you have insufficient and never plans to get basic line trying regulation like on the point to now watching will lose and under trying to direct media moment and district US go nuclear China and stuff, and the nuclear retaliation. So compelled to U.S. wrongly predicted to Korean Peninsula conflict, nuclear war. Spend out 2-6. South Korea headed northern Africa, mentioned the news, make it any U.S. watching Britain, everyone made it to do harm, with John is going to go serious intervention, we have the DOJ, have not benefit of this all now, the twins, the top level, there was not taken the nuclear accident in South Korea, also one of the process security developing nuclear website, whatever what it says, nuclear weapon, just right out of nuclear South China, we give the army, but the use of the back, they respond to damage the North geopolitical and military addition. Independently so pro nuclear war through the U.S. Soviet relationship came in Kelly 25. You know, because we're with the U.S. and New England arsenal gets up to the independent reason that I really the U.S. and they come in and immediately trying to come up with nuclear escalating right block for the Chinese and British for a relationship with one of the U.S. British responsibility. Anything else, Andrew? All right, cool.
The first one. It was Hilton. Second Hilton.
Sorry?
Hilton. Great power war is an asterisk. Okay. I think that's what it says. Yeah.
Advantage 2, advantage 1 for this side. There are cards.
Nothing to let me drive down there.
From time frame, this year the claim that the healthcare plan is make or break in August of this year, so with the topic about ending my contract, time frame outweighs only die once. And intervening actors separate my contracts in the long term, there's multiple vectors for war. One is the TIP dropped the impact of the Twin Sea that is flagged as completely external to Taiwan. Nobody our defense, they even cross-examined about it and did not bring up anything in the money. Our US lack of commitment to the healthcare plan evacuates US deterrence between war in the Middle East and peace, terrorism, release of world war absent, US commitment to military strength, China is neck, they thought the US deterrence works, but only if the drone bullet with anti-generic no deterrence defense. But the DIP surplus solves every vector of conflict, with like the ones I listed above in the Middle East, which are completely external to East Asia, including theirs, but crosses existential. That's the help for them. It's 2, it's democracy, it's an impact filter that solves the case and incentivizes cooperation over emerging threats like AI, warming, and space settlement. It could not go for impact turns when you draw multiple of these terminals that also plus that are existential and then more importantly, march to the key to regulate emerging tech. And the military stereotyping that's developed. Moyo is new, it's so striking. It also just says that citizens in authoritarian states are seen as more trustworthy. One that does not answer one scenario about governmental cooperation with other governments. It is not about the citizens trusting the government, it's about governments, the transparency and their ability to respond to existential threats efficiently. 2, it's obviously that authoritarian people in authoritarian countries would say that they trust the government because they have no ability to disagree. Now 3 is NATO. Attention over on the attention over who intervenes in Taiwan fractures the alliance between Europe being drawn and assurance collapse that assured war between Moscow and NATO allies even without being drawn into Taiwan invasion. This is no linked to no drawn. There's a risk that some approaches won't, and that those NATO allies will lose security assurances from the US, which means that those go global even without US intervention into Taiwan. That's valid. They're not going to seize. So no impact deterrence disease card, no drawn. The no drawn card is old, and they conceded that there was war and later on the flow. So this does not matter. The Bradley card is also very new. It's from January 2025. It says that China's bracing for escalation. That they're landing barges on Taiwan and they're prepping. And the only thing that's holding them back is the contention over whether the US will deploy the Hellfire plan, and they have conceded that is the key internally to deterring the invasion. Now the impact from proliferation nuclear Soko builds news, destabilizing deterrence and raising the risk of nuclear terror, which causes explode a chain of catastrophes to nuclear reach. So that's Navarro, Soko Philip, causes nuclear war. So again, 21 Soko to make the no rotation of Philip, to cause nuclear pressure for the first use to take predator Soko to respond to military operation that slays risk, 15 years to reduce pressure to go, moving quicker, the cross-sectional spreads a long range, market dynamics for some escalation ladder reaction times to be shorter, then this communication nuclear reach is more accessible, these answers all this frames a lot of their offense because the Soko part is about miscalculation. It says Nuka will escalate faster than Soko can react or the US can intervene, which answers the US Soko relations impact because there's no impact to it if they can respond in time, tracks for immediate and draw another good power strong. The 23 foreign arsenal injuries, escalating the DPR, hiding temptation, preventive attack, and in particular to bring ship saturation dynamics and reception routine. 2 powers level in 3 or 4 given China's involvement gives them the more high ground execution backlash part of the 23 Solomon said NDCA penalty and punishment for authorities so fraud and decision may be understandable, maintain a more high ground point. Backlash treated with the withdraw and the self-effective leaders in power because they can mitigate fall and empiric scope, neg Kim 23 there. Appearances for the prevent nuclear states from untrying in the contrast Korea from preventing nuclearization in 70s are dropped and deported. US engagement increase the passive US assurance will be controlled with like to their denuclearization. Kelly and Kim are bad. North Korea goes the other way. There's no reason they would strike now because that they know that US will back them up. Kelly and Kim just don't give any reason why they would change the Western theater for the US in terms of deterrence. North Korea doesn't have the capabilities now, so there's no reason for Trump to strike. But also they'll say that Trump erodes deterrence, but there's no reason his first term doesn't help. And he's shifted his policy to not decreasing military assurances. We also fiat that he's not first strike, so there's no impact to the Soviet US assurances. The fact that the unions counterplanted that extending and kicking all the other planes to the advantage counterplan. They've also just extending that one. They've also decided Kelly and Kim they were shooting before Trump's term, which means that they're entirely speculating about Trump and what he would do. His lack
lack of terrorist on means that he will decrease assurance. As for the pause now, this evidence is also just two security specialists speculating. Only our evidence cites internal documents and perspectives from within South Korea. Also, the next word says it would give sort of deterrence that this, but the border card again just says it tells China war, but I remember we got faster internally to Chinese escalation, and they're missing the narrative here. The one here sort of reads cards and drops a lot of scenarios before our democracy controls the escalating factors in the region, and then only the Apple solved it with via TIB assurances event. Only both sides have conceded our impact on the other page. It's just a question of the internal link. So any risk of debris is negative debris is wrong. One intervening factors check job. It's long term the existing but it's to localized multiple up to full extraction. Sure, there might be some small destruction, but they can't destroy U.S. system enough to respond. 3, no toxic waste impact. No social scientists support the argument that potentially escape cause. Actually, that fact that's Commodity, they drop uniqueness that's relevant is given smallness system not cause disruption. U.S. strategic calculus. Block cause first strikes which are internally which causes faster escalation.
316.
Just the
Prohibit the preemptive.
from the first.
Prohibit
First use basically.
Wait, prohibit the preemptive usage of drone swarms?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you call that for itself?
Well, it solves your scenario for. What's one of them for US drawn.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine. Advantage 2, advantage kind of thing, and then advantage 1.
I'll make it complicated but extremely simple for you. The two are trying to go for every impact and do not turn off impact calculus. Try to calculate after the winning that North Korea strikes now. We go rapidly failing nuclear umbrella and only the plan solves. We have more years of evidence. Trump's second term is unique and that's foreign policy. Decrease assurance and that's getting Kim. Nuclear umbrella fading rapidly now. Means the other allies like so-called must fill in the triad for proliferation. Not trying to invade the so-called incredible deterrent against North Korea. Otherwise, no go nuclear. Nuclear war in the Korean Peninsula is imminent now. Unless the plan happens to South Korea. Proliferate nuclear weapons. Their time frame for it flows after. They did not extend the China Taiwan war actually goes nuclear. They only extend the nuclear impacts. The invasion is fast and causes If you are unsure of whether that impact is happening in many long term, the time is irrelevant now. Frame the political debate through recently. We're the only one with 2025 evidence about how Trump all things like calculate. We're the political South Korea and both chips are moving to strike right now. Even if they're right about the 2024 Trump that was written December 30th for the report in what was it, January/February 2025 was all the evidence, all the evidence for 2021, 2023, 2023, 2022, which I memorized that. We find out phenomenal as well. Drop from 2-6 in the status quo. Most people think that Trump will never come to back South Korea. That's why they invade now and launch nukes at South Korea, which triggers South Korean retaliation. Then eventually draw them both China and the US. It's hard to explain animated. I got it, and he got it. They President the warfare, but they also make it say that after South Korean proliferates is very fast, and that solved a war with China and US because China would never invade South Korea. Right there with the failing US nuclear weapons, they also conceded the 2-1 that North Korea is willing to go nuclear now. The flip side back to the app does not mean that this had total impact. And the ones in North Korea we willing to launch nukes to South Korea. We agree with Helen Kim and the band of evidence that said they wouldn't take Chinese invasion to do that. The reason status quo, the idea has changed so much that makes it escalate nuclear weapons right now because the US nuclear bullet is failing. The only way to stop this is mutually assured destruction. They're getting Soko a way to fight back. Proliferation is fast and rapid, fast and effective. That's the Helen Kim evidence. In case the Soko has main pressures and public support for proliferation, but it has to be triggered by something. They say Helen Kim before Trump turns on this is relevant because it knows it will happen. Trump comes in until they drop the ban now ever since from February. And I thought even Helen Kim is from January. Means that it's well after the election. No one still high. Does not apply. Their scenarios about Biden's foreign policy, not and so Trump destabilizing foreign policy. Look at the defense of their scenarios here. First is the DIB stuff. This is about gold. I did cross that. There's no distinction between two, but Devin did read no deterrence impact. That was now Russell said Devin dropped this thing. The Mueller evidence with the Detroit, the relevant failed. This is the evidence from 2015 or evidence posted that the 7 whole year the DIB is different now. It's most of the Russia. You know the country claiming to destroy because they won't cause global war. North Korea is completely different to be specific evidence on that scenario. It's Mueller will drop the Detroit, but the inevitability claim take this out. The US nuclear development and Detroit will fail inevitably because to try or die. We have now democracy, right? It's actually zero. They didn't extend aspects and said totalitarian because extinction happened way too slowly. You know the invasion happened. The voting democracy takes a long time. If they're right, most people nuclear before then, because I consider that independent Dems, right? The loyal authoritarian countries are good. Even if people in them have to say the meta analyses, the people outside the countries agree that they don't cause extinction. South Korea, China, North to prove independent John Payola. And the 280, I read that at the end and said it out. Democratic guns failed. They cannot solve anything tech. It's a little straight drop. And when we got nukes, the extension of Payola, I read the 280. They say this is, and all of this extrapolation of cooperation, AI, it was brand new and not about Finland. The 280 governments definitely saw the NATO impact is similar zero as well as Taiwan assurance of traps, but they dropped the evidence that said that NATO strictly cannot deter anything, especially given our uniqueness claim that Trump's nuclear development is creating now US assurances and assurances are screwed anyways. It is tried out for the app. They did not say that Taiwan goes nuclear. All scenarios are similarly long term to time of this app, and we can see the no impact. So both teams agree on the impact level. They're not going to internal link to convince you that is a net value because all the impact rate should go to the internal link level now. But we contested how they get there. I.e., even if China invades, it does not draw in anyone. Because they not extend it to an North Korea would not have an incentive. The South Korea equivalent is good. The nuclear umbrella is rapidly failing now. Reject evidence and not assume Trump president uniquely destroys the nuclear umbrella because it's foreign policy. It's not the statement of quote you line now. Quote, a second Trump president exacerbates South Korea's anxiety. Trump has denigrated U.S. South Korean relations like no American president before him, which puts him on the brink for the second term. So while the first term does not pump, and that's why all this stuff does not matter. No destination is not faster because we have the evidence that index. And now I'll give you the line like actually go back to the NATO impact. It's also zero. Should the NATO not be focused? All empirics goes next. The Taiwan nuclear stuff, even though it dropped in the US, it didn't take gold nuclear, the evidence indicates that China would avoid all that nuclear testing in a material limit, says that it would not draw any right? No go first. Even though drone strikes happen in 4 months, does not mean that impact happens in 4 months. That means in 4 months before they actually can start solving any eventual link, we know the Soka bullet is fast, effective, and rapid. They drop all of that. No bullet can happen immediately. The advantage counterplan the advantage counterplan does not solve US drawing, US drawing, the other countries starting, which is not a first strike, it's all the way about drones that don't solve. Independently extended debris impact and drops plasma is not about plutonium index or space monitoring. Unique destruction reflects after counterfeits are increasing now. Satellites will be dropping like flies in a couple minutes, which causes global plasma that is quote disrupt planet's habitability. It's an external impact that basically was dropped into an art and it's something that you can vote on independent of all the war office. It's about disrupting the habitability of the globe as a whole. Mura is amazing on this. You can see that kind of links this here.
$5.